Hello everyone, this is a live stream, BUSN 6630 lecture video. I'll talk about the syllabus, and then I give an introduction to terminology and an introduction to operations management. And this is a live stream, so hopefully everyone has been able to find it. And this will be recorded, and a link will be posted on Canvas. Now I have a chat room here. I have a chat room, and you can ask questions on the chat room here, and I can answer them as I go through the lecture. Okay. So let's get started. First of all, let's bring up the syllabus. Boom. Okay. Now the syllabus can be found in a number of different places. First of all, let's look at Canvas. So for Canvas here, under the home page, and I can see there's a number of people who tuned in. That's good. That means you found the live stream lectures. The live stream lectures here, and good. People have found the chat room. Excellent. And as I said before, this will be recorded. A link will be posted on Canvas, and so if for some reason Tuesday night you're busy, you can't do it, you can see all these lectures with a link in Canvas. Okay, so everything's recorded. But the reason to be here is that through the chat room, you can ask questions and I'll answer them as I go through. Okay, now here you can download the syllabus right here. You click that and download it. But another place you can find it, if you come down here to the website, mdharper.com, let me go ahead and click that. mdharper.com, look under operations management. Down here, the MBA here, BUSN 6630. That's syllabus. Let's see here. I'm not sure. I don't know if I've uploaded it yet. I don't think I have. Let's go ahead and look at this. I think it's going to be an old one. Yes. No, spring 2021. So that is going to be, you can download the syllabus there, okay? So a number of places you can come up with a syllabus. The textbook here, this textbook is the same as this textbook. Click that. That goes to Amazon. This is what I'm using for this course. If you want to buy it from Amazon or from the bookstore or whatever. Now, as far as that's concerned, as far as the material is concerned, everything in the course for the homework, for the exams, everything is going to be in the lecture. And also I'll post my lecture notes in Canvas. So you'll have all of that. The textbook is for supplemental material. I say it's required because some people need to read material. That's how they learn, and everyone's different. And some people read, and that really does help them, and some people don't need to read. They can just look at the videos, and so there's a lot of resources. And I like that because everyone is different. You find out what works for you. Okay, so let's go to the syllabus. Let's bring up the syllabus real quick. Okay, here we go. The syllabus here, 6630. It is a 16-week remote course, and so this is the actual engagement that we have. And the course description here, this course description is right out of the catalog, so we can see how the course and the catalog match up. Now, I start with a schedule outline. This is an outline here. Notice I'm going to have 8 different topics, and therefore I'll have 8 different quizzes. I have 4 homework assignments. I have 4 memo assignments here. And then after the break is when we have the exam and then the projects with a review in here. And so, first of all, today is the syllabus and introduction. And this syllabus and introduction, I'm talking about the syllabus, then I go into introduction a little bit. A little bit of that is in homework, quiz 1, homework 1, memo 1. But notice the topics, there are 2 weeks for each topic. Forecasting, linear programming, aggregate planning, inventory, And then 1 week for MRP, ABC, that's multiple item inventory scheduling and management. Scheduling, day-to-day operations, project management, quality. These last two are extensions. Project management, quality management are extensions a little bit, kind of getting us ready for the individual projects at the end of the course. People maybe want to go in different directions. It's kind of a little bit of an introduction. Also, earned value analysis is becoming more and more popular in operations. SPC, statistical process control charts, again, very useful tool. A lot of people using it. And so these last two, I think, are tools that can be very useful, and they're not hard. Actually, most everything we do in this course is not hard. It's easy, but it's not obvious. I like that saying, and I'll take credit for that saying. It's not hard, but it's not obvious. It's easy, but it's not obvious. Anyway, once you see it, you go, oh, yeah, now I see how to do it. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, now, the reason I have 2 weeks here on the first 4, and notice the first 4 topics has a homework and a memo associated with it, because the quizzes are designed for just simple definitions, mechanics, pretty much an introduction to what's the terminology, how do you work simple problems, and mostly it's just getting used to the material. Now the homework is applying this material in a business context. And it's progressive. Each of these are kind of progressive, especially homeworks. It's progressive where I start simple and then I get a little more complex. The last question on the homework is the type of question you would need for the memo assignments. Now the memo assignments, this is for communications. This is all about communications and creating a memo. And so in these memo assignments, you'll have a you'll have a memo, and in that memo, you'll have a client, you'll have a request, you'll have data. And so you take the data, you solve it, and you say, now, how do I tell the client what they need to know from this problem? So it's all about communication. But so most of this is creating these memos to communicate. So the last question on the homework is the type of question that I put on the memos. Different problems, but still the communication is going to be important. Okay, Craig, the homework is due on Sunday. Yes, absolutely. And so notice Sunday is when all of these are due. And so notice I start on Tuesday, because Tuesday is when we have our live stream. And then they're due on Sunday evening, Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. through Canvas. And the reason I have it Sunday, so Monday, all of these memos, I can read them, grade them. And so that Tuesday night, we'll be able to actually, you can see the results and you'll be able to ask questions about it. But also, I will have office hours Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m., and you can see that on Canvas as well. Okay, so the quizzes are short quizzes, the homework is applications, progressive, and the memos are putting together a memo assignment to communicate. Okay, now, again, the reason I have 2 of these here is because the first week here is just introducing the material, is a presentation of the material and the concepts. The second week, there's where I start applying it. And in some cases, when I start applying it, that second lecture and forecasting linear in the first 4 topics, that second lecture is when I start looking at, here's how you would do this, here's how you would do the quiz, here's how you do the homework. Okay, in some cases, probably here's how you would actually do the memo. And so when the first lecture, the first Tuesday night, is talking about the material. The second Tuesday night is talking about application of the material. And there's where I will reference the quizzes, the homeworks, and the memos. And in some cases, I'll even tell you, here's how to work the problem. In some cases, I'll actually work the problem all the way through, not all the way through, all the way through to the end, stop and say, let you finish it off. Because I want everyone to know how to do it. I don't want you to discover how to do it. I want to teach you how to do it. And so a lot of these assignments, I'll be working it with in Excel. So Excel will be the only software we'll use in here. Well, that's the software we're going to be using to solve problems. Anyway, we'll talk about other things later. Okay, so that's kind of my design. That's how I've designed these things. Now, uploading, submitting the quizzes, homework, and memo is through Canvas. Now, notice I have 2 weeks on this because the second week on each one of these is really talking about how to do the assignments. Now, I have a lot of assignments here, doing a lot of work, but I'll show you how to do most of it. Okay? And the only thing I don't really show you how to do, I'll allude to it, is the definitions. Because the definitions are in the first lecture. The second lecture is going to be the applications. And so I go through and work the problems. Okay, so that's the first part of the course. The second part of the course is the exam and the individual project reports. Where do we submit the memos? I will show you where to submit the memos. Okay. And we'll go into Canvas here in a minute. Actually, when I get to this, we'll go to Canvas and show you how to read it. Okay, on the exams here, this review, which I say in the syllabus here, I will have an exam review video, and there I'll talk about the exam. The way I approach exams, my philosophy around exams is design for evaluation. I want to ask you things you know. I don't want to ask you things you don't know. And in this review exam video, I'll go through and say, here's what I'm going to be asking. In some cases, I give you the exact question, but usually I say I'm going to ask this kind of question, this kind of question, this kind of question, this area, this is what I'm asking. This is what's not going to be on the exam. This is what's going to be on the exam. I'll give you as much help to prepare so when you come and take the exam, you're prepared. And so people who come very well prepared from the review video for the exam review guide usually do quite well. Okay. The project reports, I'll also have a video on instructions on the project reports. And that we'll talk about that a lot more at the end of the course. Once we get this material, once we understand this material to here, then I'll talk about the project reports. Now notice we'll have 1, 2, 3 weeks here before we submit this stuff. Okay? Now, also notice that the exam and the projects are due by the end of the course, And the end of the course is Saturday, May 15th. So that's why I don't have these over here, because these are due on Sunday night, 11:59. The exam and project is due Saturday by 11:59 p.m., May 15th. Be careful. Caution, nothing is considered after the end of the course. So you have 3 weeks to do this stuff, more than enough time. Historically, my other courses, people had more than enough time to do all this stuff. And a lot of times people get done this first week and they're done with the course. Some people take a week and a half and they're done with the course. But 3 weeks should be plenty of time if you plan, organize, and get it done. But be very careful to organize your time, manage your time, and get them in before the end. Nothing is considered after the course, end of the course. So this is Saturday, May 15th. Sunday, May 16th, I'll pull everything down, everything I have. I'll grade it. I'll post the course grades to the registrar. The grade on all these assignments and everything will be on Canvas. You can see your grades, know exactly what your grades are. But I'll post the course grade on Canvas to the registrar, not on Canvas. So, grading. There's 8 quizzes at 10 points each, 4 homework assignments at 20 points each, 4 memo assignments at 20 points each, one exam, and one project. Now, your grade is based solely on the grade measure performance. Grades are not negotiated. This is important. The way your grade is going to be assigned is basically on how many points you earn divided by how many possible points you could earn. It's the total, how much you earn divided by the total possible. That percentage over here will be compared with a letter grade, and that's your letter grade. And notice there are no plus minus grades. I don't give plus minus. It's either A, B, C, D, or F. No plus minus. That's what I've done for a while. Okay. Now, the rounding procedures, which I have later in the syllabus, rounding, 0.5, suppose you have 79.5%, that's rounded up to 80%, which is a B. 79.4%, that's rounded down to 79%, which is a C. So 0.5 I round up, less than 0.5 I round down. Okay? So here I will open up the exam, I'll open up the project, I'll do the review guide for the exam, the instructional video. I'll have two videos right here for the exam and the projects. And so you'll have this week, and this week to do these anytime. You can only take the exam one time. It's not like the best of 5. You can only take it one time, and you can only submit your projects one time. Okay? But you have 3 weeks to do it. And I like this because then you can just not take your time, but you can focus to do how you want to do it, because everyone works differently. Okay, it just has to be in by May 15th. Now on these, the quiz, homework, and memos, no late assignments are accepted. They're due on those dates, 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. But the exam and project is due 11:59 p.m. on Saturday. Okay? Hopefully that's clear. Okay, before we go on, let's bring up Canvas. Let's come back to Canvas. Here's the home page. Just to navigate here, some of you I'm sure are used to this. Some may not be. This may be your first course. So you go to the home page. The home page is this. The welcome video. Hopefully everyone has seen this. It's just a really short video because we're asked to do that. Download the syllabus here. Now this lecture, this right here is a Word file. Now this lecture is it's not the syllabus. The lecture is going to be what I'm going to be doing tonight. I'm doing the syllabus. We'll take a short break and then I'll do the lecture. Okay? And this is the lecture notes. Essentially that's what that is. Now down here's the live streams. Here's the office hours. You click this goes right into Zoom office hours. And you'll open it up. I'll open it up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Now I have this office hours is for all my courses. And so I started doing it this way because I have other courses, but usually the maximum number of people I've ever had was maybe 4 or 5. So usually all the questions are answered before office hours. But if you do, I'll stay there. It says office hours, plural, because I'll stay there as long as we need to answer all your questions. Okay. Down here's the website, which I mentioned. Now, all of these videos, the videos that you're seeing like this, the videos, I'm going to post the video. This video will be recorded and posted right after the lecture. I'll say video. Okay. The videos that I'll be posting, the links will be here in Canvas. Like a link here, click it, and you open up the video, just like this one. But it will reside on YouTube because I don't put them on Canvas. Put them on YouTube. YouTube is probably the most, their platform is super advanced. I've never had any problems with high-def video on YouTube. Okay. And that's one way anyway. So there's no FERPA problem at all. We'll get to FERPA here in a minute. Okay, down here are the modules. So if I click modules, this opens up all the modules, and there's the modules. Okay, well, right here we're on Welcome Week 1. If I click that, whoops, I'll go back to Home, and that'll be this one. Boom. Okay, and that's going to be Home. Now, weeks 2 and 3, if I click weeks 2 and 3, it'll go weeks 2 and 3. It goes to all of them. It just starts down there. Now, I have the Welcome here. If I click that, there's the Home. Okay. Let's go back to modules. Syllabus here. If I click this, it will open up the syllabus. Well, here you can download the syllabus. I think people have already gotten that. And then modules, links to live streams in Zoom. I put these up here, okay, but then I decided to go ahead and put them on the home page down here because you're going to be going there every week, all the time. Now, these weeks down here, weeks 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 7, according to the syllabus. Well, let's look at weeks 2 and 3. They're all pretty much the same. Zoom office hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The videos here for forecasting, I don't have them up yet. If I open this up, you can see they're not there yet. But by next week, they will be. And there's going to be 2 videos, at least 2. One's a lecture, the other's a homework. And sometimes I have more than that, depending on what we want to do. Oops, modules. And so notice the module on each one is the same. You hear? Oh, then I get into the memos. Okay, here's the quiz. Here's the homework and memo that week. And then here's the homework and memo and quiz that week. And homework and memo and quiz. So I have, here's where you submit it. Okay, let's open one of these quiz. When you open this up, okay, and well, I don't have it opened up yet. Oh, I think I do have. No, I don't have one. I don't have them opened up yet. But when you open this up, let me go ahead and edit this. What you will see is the actual. That's too bad. You'll see right here is where you download the questions. You download the questions, answer them, and then down here, well, I'm editing this thing. Down here, you're going to have submit. Then you submit only when you have all the answers. So we'll check this here. We'll come back to this later in the syllabus. Okay, let's bring back the syllabus. Okay, let's see here. Sarah, Dr. Harper, are the exams timed? Yes, they are. They're timed. But since I give you all this help, as it turns out that, let's see, how much time do I give you? I think it's, I forget how much time I give you. I think it's like 60 minutes, 90 minutes, something like that. But if you come in prepared, historically, my exams, the way I design them, a lot of times people are done in 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most, usually 80 to 90% of them. Now, some people just go really slow. Again, people have different pace. Every person have their own pace. But when you come in prepared, you know what's going to be asked. Usually you get through there in 10, 15, 20 minutes. But I give you probably more than enough time to do it. Okay? Okay, so to clarify, there are the live lecture videos during class times, but then there will also be videos to watch before class to prepare. Right, Sarah, yeah, 60 minutes, something like that. It's there somewhere. Okay, let's go back as far as the videos are concerned. Let's go back to Canvas. Good questions here. On every week, okay, this week there's nothing due, but let's go back to beginning next week, okay? Now, beginning next week, notice you have one quiz, these videos. When you click the videos here, let me click this, and open this up, I don't have anything in there. Okay, let's go back to the home page. Okay, notice what I have here. I have a lecture. There's where the lecture notes are. Underneath that will be a link to this video. So you can go to the video and actually see what I'm saying here. And I'll do this every single Tuesday night. And so every week, every 2 weeks, every module, there'll be 2 videos. Tuesday night. Okay, and that's going to be the lectures. But then, if you go to mdharper.com, my website, under Operations Management, this is all kinds of stuff that you can look at. You can look at if you want. In other words, Introduction to Forecasting. So I will go through and do this in class. This is my lecture. But what I've done, I started years ago, I say, okay, I give you my lecture. But then you can go back and look at these videos, Excels. You can look at a presentation. Okay, let me back up. The live stream is a lecture. I'm really explaining it, I'm presenting it. But these videos are a production. They are presentation of what I'm doing. And sometimes I bring in examples. Sometimes I go through different types of case studies. I do different things in these videos. So these videos are really designed for, once you leave here, this will refresh your memory. This is kind of something that you would see as a review session. Okay, let's suppose you leave here and 2 or 3 years from now you need to do forecasting. You come back. This website's always here, as far as I can pay for it. You say, "Oh, introduction. Let me look at forecasting here." Click this, and then boom. Welcome to the Harper Classroom. I'm Dr. Harper. And then I go through. I don't want to do this. And you can go through, and I go through and actually present this stuff. I show examples. This is not what I do in the lectures. This is a presentation. It is a production presentation, and I'll show you how to work all this stuff. So that's the idea of my website. It's a resource. It's a resource. But then, when you go back here, this is the actual lecture. And so in lecture, you can present it, but then my videos are supplemental material that kind of like showcase, highlight it, and produce it. Maybe I didn't. I hope I said it right. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Actually, once you get into the course, you start looking at these videos, you'll say, oh, yeah, I see. In other words, from the lecture, like next week when I do forecasting, from my lecture, you start looking at these videos, you're beginning to see, oh, yeah, that's how oh, yeah. And so you don't want to do the lecture again. There shouldn't be need to re-listen to a lecture because the lecture is going to be an hour, 2 hours. But you can look at a 15, 20-minute video that summarizes or that presents everything. You go, oh, now I see how. Yeah, I remember that. And so that's kind of my thought process. Okay, let's go back to the syllabus. Okay, let's back up here. Okay. Now, the quizzes here are all multiple choice. Some of them are definitions. Some of them are really simple quantitative problems, just working the problem and solving it. And I'll show you how to do it. Again, the second lecture, I'll show you how to do it in Excel. Down here, I'll do both in one lecture. I'll show you how to do it in Excel. But notice, it's not submitted until the next week. And so what you have here, and also, again, remember, every week, you have office hours Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. And so you're going to have 2 lectures on Tuesday night on the 2 weeks. You have 3 Zoom office hours on 2 weeks. So there's 6 Zoom, 2 lectures. So there's 8 different periods of contact to ask questions about what we're doing, okay? And you have videos that can go through and learn it. Learn what we're doing better, but also some of the videos go beyond what we're doing, and also for industry. Again, this is an introduction. the introduction and laying a foundation for operations in business. Okay, it's a core course. We can go much deeper in each one of these topics, and that's kind of what some of the videos will do. Some of them are basic, and some of them are a little bit more advanced. You'll see when we get into inventory. Okay, like I'll start with simple constant demand, then I'll have stochastic demand, then I'll have stochastic demands, and we can go further and further and further. Same with forecasting. We'll have linear trends, we'll have nonlinear trends, and then you can go into different types of time series analysis. Sridevi, yeah. Is it okay to buy the global edition of a paperback textbook? The cover looks different. Yes. Very good question. Well, let me get through the syllabus. I think I'll answer that down here. Here's the workflow. The workflow for the first week, read it. I would urge everyone to review and consult the syllabus over and over again, because a lot of these questions are in the syllabus. It's easier for me to say it, but for reference, everything's pretty much in the syllabus. After the first week and before the week of the break, the workflow consists of attending live streams Tuesday night, watching videos. When I say watching videos, you can watch the videos on the website or watch this as a video. You can go back and look at it again and again. And that'll be important on the second week, because look at it again and again, I'll show you how to work the problems. Downloading assignments, working problems, attending Zoom office hours, communicating with other students through Canvas discussions, submitting answers to assignments through Canvas. Assignments consist of quizzes, homework assignments, memo assignments. The organization of your time is your responsibility, but submission of answers to assignments are required from each student on time because no late assignments are accepted. Now, what I mean by this is a lot of people say, the organization of your time is your responsibility. What I mean by that is sometimes people say, do we have to be here Tuesday night? I go, well, no, because I'm recording it. Do we have to listen to, look, the organization of your time is your responsibility. As far as I'm concerned, I leave that I respect you on how you can design your time to learn the best. And so you have to do that. I can't tell you how to study because each person is different. I shouldn't be telling you how to study. You need to do that for yourself. That's what I mean by that. But I give all those resources there for you to access as much or as little as you want. The whole reason we're here is learning. I'm doing everything I can, and you do what you need to do to learn. That's how I approach it. Okay, attending live streams. Lectures will be through live stream, accessible through link in Canvas, residing on my YouTube channel. Each lecture will be recorded, rendered as a video, posted on Canvas. Watching videos. A link to YouTube videos will be provided in Canvas, okay, and also to the website. Assignments. For each assignment, download the Word file with the assignment. Work the assignment making use of the videos, Canvas discussion with students, and Zoom office hours. Use resources. Submit answers at one time through Canvas. And the Zoom office hours, a link will be in, there's will be a link in Canvas. For the exam and project, a review live stream and video will be provided for the exam, and instruction live stream and video will be provided for the project. Like I said. So I've already said this. And all the links for the course will be provided in Canvas. So Canvas would be the hub, and you can go different places. Okay, hopefully you'll get used to that. Okay, each quiz will emphasize mechanics, and the mechanics could be definitional mechanics and applications of mathematical techniques, 10 points each. Each homework assignment will emphasize the application of a problem-solving approach, and we'll talk about that at the latter part of this lecture tonight, 20 points each, when I'll talk about the problem-solving approach in operations, but also in anything in business, in any discipline. Each memo assignment will emphasize communicating results in a business environment. Exam is over 4 topics designed for evaluation. Individual project report and presentation is designed to conduct independent research on a topic related to this course, 80 points. So I'll be just expanding on these. Okay. So notice this is just a workflow saying these are the kind of things that are part of the course. let's go in depth. Okay, the course material. First of all, I have the Red Book. Now, the Red Book is not a textbook. It's just my lecture notes. Now, the Red Book is only available in the bookstore, and some people probably have bought it or they're going to buy it. I don't have a lot in there because everything that I'm going to be doing will be downloadable. All the lecture notes will be downloadable with a link in Canvas. And this Red Book is just some of it. Now I keep modifying it, so even though this Red Book you can buy until we run out, but you don't really need it because all of these is my lecture notes. I'm going to put these on Canvas. You can download them in a Word file, and so you'll have them. The required textbook is this is a textbook, Heiser and Render, and again this is pretty much the rigor level of this course, but everything that all the requirements in here, everything that you need to know, everything that on your homework and the quizzes and the memos and the exams and everything will be in this course. I don't refer to the textbook as a requirement. You don't have to have the textbook to do the work. But the textbook is required because some people want the textbook, read it, and it helps them to understand the material. That's why I say required. Okay. And of course, the Canvas website and my YouTube channel are required. Prerequisites. Although there are no prerequisites for this course, knowledge of mathematics, statistics, and Excel will be useful. Now, I don't go back and teach math or statistics or even Excel, but I will use these. And so it's not a math course. It's not a statistics course. It's not an Excel course. It's an operations course. But those are the tools I'll be using in here. Now, it won't be part of the course. But if you need a refresher, you say, could you help me with this? I don't understand this. Well, outside of the course, I'll say, sure, I'll explain things to you, but it won't be necessarily part of the course. In other words, I won't take up course time to do that, but I'll certainly help you as much as I can during Zoom office hours to answer whatever you need to know. Okay? Well, as best I can. Okay. The reading material, I put this in here because this is from the textbook, Heiser and Render. This is pretty much topics that I pretty much cover in this course. Okay. Okay. A few more, and then I'll answer questions from the chat. This is a course description for catalog. Course objectives. These are my objectives. This course is a survey course. It's a survey course of concepts, methods, that's the quantitative part, and strategies. In some cases, there's where the memos come in. Commonly used in the management of operations. 3 things: recognition of problems, application of techniques, and communication of results are emphasized through lectures, assignments, and exams. So the idea of these 3 things are extremely important because you can't solve a problem unless you know what the problem is. And recognizing the problem sometimes is very challenging. Initially on quizzes, I'll tell you what the problem is. On the homework, it's a little less defined, and sometimes in the memos, you have to define what the problem is. So again, progressional. Application of techniques, there's would apply the problems, the techniques correctly. And communication results, and there's where the memos come in. The communication requires understanding what you know, understanding what they need, and putting that together. It's not saying what you know. And we'll talk about that too. It's saying what you know and what they need to know and putting that together. That's communication. Okay, the course design down here, it's a remote course using live streams for lectures, etc. And I've already mentioned this before. Course grade is solely on students' performance in the grade measure of quizzes, homeworks, and memos, exam and project. Grades are not negotiated, no curves, no extra credit. In calculating course grades, normal rounding conventions are used. And here's the rounding procedure: 1.5 you round up, less than that you round down. And here is the quiz assignments. And here's where I talk about the quiz assignments, or the assignments. The quiz assignments, homework assignments, and memo assignments will be submitted through Canvas. There will be an online exam. There will be a project at the end of the course, which consists of an individual report and an individual video presentation. Learning resources are available to the student to aid in understanding the material and working the assignments found at the website. Textbook required readings and students' discussions in Canvas. Now, this video presentation, I will, again, walk you through it. I'll show you simple ways to do it. And I'm pretty lenient on how to generate these videos, because this is something some people do it quite well. Some people, first time, well, I'll help you as much as I can to get this done. And we'll work with you. Keep going, keep working, and keep working. We'll start early on in the course, and it'll go all the way through. A quiz assignment, homework assignment, memo assignment for some topics will be made available on Canvas. The quiz will be designed to cover basic material. The homework is designed to apply a problem-solving approach to operations problems. That's problem solving. And the memo is designed to communicate results from a worked operations problem to different audiences, which include an outside client requesting the work and to internal party documenting the approach taken in obtaining the results. I'll talk about that more in just a second when I talk about the memo assignments. Learning resources, including online videos found on the website, can be utilized to complete each assignment. Not necessary, but you can use it if you want to. Okay. Now, before I get to communication, let's look at some of these questions over here. Let's see here. Looks like 60 minutes. That's true for the exams. The quiz answers within 1 hour after loading the questions. Yeah, I think down here, when I get to submission here, I'll talk about that. Once you have all the questions, you have 60 minutes to upload all the questions. And I'll talk about that in detail in just a second. Okay. And usually 60 minutes is more than enough time because you have all the answers. It's click, 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 click. Some people get done in 5 minutes. But that's only if you have all the answers. The quizzes are all multiple choice. Homework, sometimes you're uploading files, and then the memos, you're uploading a file and a video. Okay, do we have to submit the quiz within 1 hour? What is a quiz and exam format? Is a short answer, multiple choice, fill in the blanks. Leslie, the quiz and exam, the exam is all multiple choice. The quiz is all multiple choice. As I say, homework is multiple choice mostly. Every once in a while, you upload a file. Okay, is it okay to buy the global? Yes and yes. Can we talk on live stream? No, but the talking is on the Zoom. And actually, a Tuesday night, it's all, this is pretty much one way, and then chat is how you communicate and ask questions, because this is focusing on learning. It's like a one-way collaborative learning. Zoom is a two-way conversation. In other words, the videos I have on my website is like a presentation. This is a explanation, but then the Zoom is a conversation. So the conversation is where you can actually talk about it, and you can express what your concerns are. I can go through the Zoom. Now, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night at 7 is when I have my Zoom office hours. But that doesn't mean that if someone wants to meet after class tonight, we'll just say, hey, go to Zoom, and we'll talk, okay? Maybe right after class, I'll just open up Zoom. Anyone who wants to ask questions, we can do that. You can ask questions on the chat, but the Zoom is maybe you want a conversation about it. Let me talk about it. Sometimes a conversation is really needed, but that's beyond the live stream. Okay, the live stream, if it was all conversation and we don't have a presentation, we'll never get through this material. Okay, because I used to do that. It doesn't work. In Excel, will you be, Mark, I'm not an expert in Excel. Will you be walking us through the problems so that we become more proficient in Excel to make us more successful in mastering the course material? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the videos that I have are the second week. I start real simple. then the homework is a little bit more, then the memo is a little bit more. And actually, you'll see the very first week, I'll say, here's how you take it from a Word file, go into Excel, and here's how you get the answer. Okay? And here's how you take it in a Word file, and here's how you create a graph. And then I'll just step by step, every week, it's just one thing more, one thing more, one thing more. And if you have any questions, come to Zoom office hours, share your screen. I can see what you're doing. I'll share my screen, show you what I'm doing, and I'll walk you through it. And I'll just coach you through it, okay? As a matter of fact, another thing too, is that at the end of this course, I think you'll know operations much better if you've never had it. But two, you'll know Excel at a basic level, and you'll be able to do quite a bit of things in Excel. And three, you'll be able to create documents with Excel because you're creating these presentations and documents for the memos. That's extremely important. And communicating these results, not just knowing them, communicating them. So there's a lot of things that this course is designed to do. The view of Canvas is different on phone versus browser Canvas applications. Yes, another reason, Vegeta, I hope I pronounced that right. That's another reason Canvas, this is a great point. The view of Canvas is different on the phone versus browser Canvas application. You're absolutely right. But, however, that's why I go to YouTube. Because YouTube optimizes this for all different types of engagements, all different types of media, whether it's browser, whether it's a phone, whether it's with an iPad, or whatever it is. So it's different codexes and different. Well, YouTube, there again, is more sophisticated, and you should be able to see high def on whatever device you use for the videos. So this lecture then will be through YouTube with high def. Okay. Great. Communication. Okay, first of all, collaboration is encouraged throughout this course except for the exam, and composition is memo assignments, and the production of the projects. Now, what I mean by collaboration is encouraged, those of you who are in industry, you totally understand this. You shouldn't do things in a vacuum. Ask, create a network, ask questions, use the chat room. Like Leslie, you're talking about planning to set up a chat. Excellent, okay? And on the discussion board, people have done all different things. You can do whatever you want. People say, here's my answers. What did you get? Hey, let's all agree. And sometimes when people do that a lot, I see the same answers coming in, If you have any questions, you can ask me during Zoom office hours. So go back and forth to help each other as much as we can. Some people know the answers, and some people don't, and some people know the answers that other people don't. The other thing about the discussion on Canvas. When you have a question, sometimes a student can answer that question much better because they were struggling with the same question at the same level and same perspective. If you ask me, well, I'm looking at it from a whole different perspective. I've been doing this thing for decades. Oh, well, here's the answer. No, that's not what I meant. Oh, that's what you asked. That's what you said. But a student sometimes can answer that much better than I can. So first, go through Canvas discussion board. Then come to me with Zoom. Okay, we can talk about it. Oh, I see what you're asking. And then finally, if you have to email me, communication includes discussion through Canvas and through Zoom office hours. The link and times will be in Canvas. Although Zoom office hours are more effective and efficient for communication with me, you may also use email or Canvas messaging for personal communications if necessary. Should email be necessary, that's my email address. And make sure you include the course, BUSN 6630, because then I'll know the context of the question or the communication. Because I have multiple courses, if I get an email, I might answer it according to another course, and that doesn't make any sense to you. So, but use these connections with me wisely, sparingly. because sometimes they can be more confusing, we have to come together with what question you're actually answering. And a lot of times students can answer those questions much quicker and better than I can. But if you need to ask me a question, go right ahead and do it. So we have email and Canvas messaging for that. But use it wisely and responsibly. What is a memo? A memo is a document that you write and submit in a presentation. We'll talk about it here in a minute. You didn't actually, you say, I missed a point. You really didn't miss it because I haven't said it. I haven't got there yet. Okay, here we go. Submission of the quiz assignments and homework assignments. Okay, first of all, here's how you submit it. Quiz assignments and homework assignments will be assigned and graded. Quiz assignments and homework assignments will be available on Canvas and submitted through Canvas. You download them and upload them. No late assignments are accepted. Answers are posted after due date. Okay, submit the answers through Canvas. Here's how. Quiz questions and homework questions will be posted on Canvas at appropriate times in the course, at the beginning of every module, every 2-week session. Carefully follow this procedure. Here we go. Download the questions from Canvas, which will be in a Word file. Download all the questions. 1. 2. Obtain all your answers for all the questions. So obtain those answers by using all your resources and notice I say all. Get the answers for all the questions. Get everything ready to submit. Don't submit part of it, get all of it. 3. Only when all the answers are ready to submit all the answers through Canvas at one time. Each student is responsible to submit answers through Canvas correctly, completely, and on time. Answers may be submitted only once. Assignments submitted will be accepted as entire assignments and graded as an entire assignment. In other words, you can't submit part of it and then come back later and submit the other part. You can only do it one time. The rest of it is 0. And you can only do it one time. Once you begin your submission, you have only 60 minutes to submit all the answers to an assignment, only if all the answers are submitted on or before the due date in time for the assignment. Sunday night, 11:59 p.m. The due date and time are strictly enforced by Canvas. Canvas will not allow submission after the due date and time, even during the 60-minute window. So Sunday night, 11:59 p.m., all this is due. And you have 2 weeks before you do this, so you should do this way before then. And you have 6 Zoom office hours you can access. You have 2 lectures Tuesday nights you can ask questions, and you have discussion boards that you can use. So you have a lot of connection points. But if it's due 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. If you open at 11:58 and then you start submitting, and then 59, boom, it shuts off. You go, wait a minute, I'm not done with my 60 minutes. The 11:59 p.m. Is done before the 60 minutes. It supersedes the 60 minutes. Okay, so be careful. The entire assignment must be submitted on or before the due date and time. No late assignments are accepted. Assignments not submitted have a grade of 0. The answers to the quiz and homework assignments will be posted after due date. No partial credit. Okay, are the quiz and exam open book? Well, the exam is open book. We're getting to the exam in a minute. But then again, let's back up here. Is a quiz, if you're talking about, there again, if you're talking about these quizzes, the quizzes and homework and memos, that's homework. You know, you wouldn't close your book and try to do the homework. No, you use all your resources. You use each other. Collaboration is encouraged on everything except the exam. You take the exam only by yourself, and you produce the projects, the presentation, and you write the memos. You can collaborate back and forth, but you write the memos. As we get into the course, you'll see how it works. Okay, let's come back down here. Where were we? Here we go. Okay, good. Follow the common rounding procedures again. Any grading errors should be resolved as soon as possible. Collaboration is encouraged again to aid in learning the material but not required. Now, collaboration in learning the material, sometimes I don't know how to do that. You know how to do it? Yeah, here's how you do it. Oh, okay. So you learn from each other. Okay. And even as I say on the discussion board, some people says, here's what I did. Oh, I see how to do it now. Thanks. Fine. I'll even do that. I'll do that even during the Zoom sessions. Okay. Oh, here's how you work that. Oh, I see. And I'll do that in the videos too. Once I open the quiz, do I have 60 minutes to? Yeah. Yes. But again, the quiz, the homework, the memo, you download it, you get all the answers, then you open and submit. Don't submit and try to do the answers. When you submit and open it, all you're doing is submitting the answers you've already gotten. Okay. Although collaboration is encouraged, students are expected to perform their own work. Now, what I mean by that is that collaboration is encouraged. So you learn, and once you know, then even though someone taught you, it's yours. You own it, and then you submit the work. The quiz and homework assignments are designed for as an introduction and development of the material, but not intended to be a complete coverage of the material. Okay, there's a lot more than what I'm asking you. Okay, but it's the foundation. Okay, the memo assignments. Here we go. The memo assignments are small case studies. I will make available an assignment memo online at appropriate times that will initiate work from each student. And the assignment memo is like, hey, here's a memo. And this memo is asking you to do something and creating a request. Each memo assignment requires 3 submissions: a response memo, a technical memo, and a video presentation based on PowerPoint. Now, before we get to that first memo, I will be covering, like the first one's forecasting. I'll be covering this over and over and over multiple times. Each memo is limited to 1 page. Only 1 page response memo. Only 1 page technical memo. Submit both memos in 1 PDF file, 2 pages, 1 page for response, 1 page for technical. The video presentation consists of audio and video and is limited to less than 2 minutes. So there's the deliverables. Okay? So design the response memo for the business environment that effectively communicates a professional response to the party requesting the work in the assignment memo. The response memo shall be succinct but adequate, as well as originally composed, professionally prepared, and following a common format. The complete response memo must be limited to only 1 page. And that includes graphs, tables. It's 1 page, just 1 page. Okay? Now, the idea of the response memo is the assignment memo proposes a problem. And there's going to be data. You pull down the data, you solve it, and you say, what part of this does my client need to know? What do I take out and put in a response memo to tell them what they need to know? Usually I think every single time, all the memos, they do not need to know how you solve the problem. They need to know, here's the answer, what it means to you, and how you use the answer moving forward. That's what you do in business. Now, when you work in business, I guarantee you, I'll be safe to guarantee you, when you work a problem, your boss does not care how you solve the problem. What they care about is, what is the answer, what does it mean to me, and what do I do about it? Oh, well, let me tell you the math I used. I don't care about the math as long as it's right. Tell me how to use it and tell me how to make my decision and move forward. That's what they want to know. So that's what I'm getting at on the response memo. Now, the tactical memo, design the tactical memo to outline details of the approach and the quantitative methods utilized in obtaining the results presented in the response memo. The tactical memo shall contain enough detail to support, describe, and adequately generate the technical portion of the response memo. The technical memo shall be succinct but adequate, as well as originally composed, professionally prepared, and following a common format. The complete technical memo must be limited to only one page again. Graphs, tables, and everything. Now the technical memo, the response memo is an external document to the client. The technical memo is an internal document. The internal document is, let's say, to me or to your boss or to your team. Here's how I solved the problem. Here's where but you don't solve it. You say, you outline the details of your approach and methodology. Here's what I did. Here's my assumptions. Here's my equations. Here's what I used. Here's how I did it. Here's my approach. Enough detail where you can generate it again. Now, the purpose of the technical memo is extremely important, not only in this course, but in business. If you work a problem, if you do something of value, and pretty much everything you're going to do is valuable, and you say, oh, I think I did something like that a year ago. Do you remember what you did a year ago? The details of what you did a year ago? A month ago? A week ago? No. But if you've outlined how you read this, you go, oh, now I remember how to do it. And then you got it. And that's what this is about. When I was in business, when I was consulting, I would give memos to CEOs and CFOs and presidents of companies and things. So I'd give them the memo. Says I was a consultant. So here's the memo. If I remember right, the multiple memos that I gave, they asked for a response. I gave it to them. Never did I have anyone actually read the memo in my presence. They looked at this and they go, oh, they'll look at a table, a graph, and go, oh, good. Tell me what it says. And what does it mean to me? No one has ever read that memo back when I was consulting. But 50% of the time, maybe 40, 50, about half the time, a week later, I would get a call by some technical person on their staff saying, on the second paragraph, you said this. How did you do that? Now I'm talking to a technical person who knows their stuff. Make sure you remember how you did that. How do you remember if you've done 5 things since then? The technical memos. That's what the technical memos are for. Okay, a good practice to get in. Document what you've done such that you can generate it again. Now design the video presentations as a convincing argument supporting a specific objective to an audience defined in the assignment memo. And there'll be different audiences. So you have to be convincing argument supporting a very specific objective to different audiences, okay? The presentation shall contain audio as well as video with text and visuals appropriate to the audience and objective. The entire presentation must be limited to less than 2 minutes. And again, I'll show you how to do this with the PowerPoint. I'll show you over and over and over again, step by step. I'm pretty lenient on this. If the first time you do it, we'll talk about how to do this progressively as we get into the course. Each memo must be self-contained, complete, descriptive, succinct, and limited to 1 page. The composition should reflect their different audiences, objectives, scenarios as defined in the assignment memo. Okay, each memo must be no more than 1 page in length. Both memos must be submitted together in one PDF file. Submit only 2 pages, no title page, no attachments, no appendices, and submit through Canvas. Both memos are required to be composed in a professional manner, adhering to the following format. So here's the format. In other words, you have a response memo number, and this number here will be 1, 2, 3, and 4, depending on whichever one you're submitting. So the response memo will have the date, to the party requesting the work, that's in the assignment memo, from your name that goes there, and some title that you put in there, and then the content. And that's 1 page for the response memo. The same for the technical memo. But notice the 2 is to me. I'm a technical person. Let's say I'm going to be your boss, your supervisor, your team. So I'm an internal source that you're addressing the technical memo internally. And it may not be anyone, it may be you. Okay? And I learned this when I was doing government research. You better make sure you remember how you did things, because people are going to ask you in the future, how did you do that? Or you're going to want to remember. And you're not going to remember all the details that you've done in the past. Now, the PowerPoint presentation must contain audio and video. The production should adequately utilize the audio and video forms of communication. Distinct from the memo forms of communication. And I will comment on that sentence. In other words, specifically, do not, and I want to emphasize do not, merely read the text of the memos for the video. Do not rely solely on the audio without video support. That's what I mean by utilize audio and video forms of communication. Don't take your memo and sit there and just read it. That's not a video. And I'll probably count off. It has to be a presentation. And what I'll be doing is maybe demonstrating and showing some examples of videos on Tuesday nights. Say, oh, here's one that I think is really good. And people will do it different ways. And doing it different ways, I say, here's a good one that did it a different way. Everyone's going to be doing a little bit differently because it's yours. Don't copy from someone. Do it yourself. Okay? The video should contain and illustrate the objectives of the presentation with the audio as the support for and motivation of the objective. Now that sentence is more, I've noticed people make a lot of mistakes in schools, especially people who've never been in industry or research. The video should contain and illustrate the objectives of the presentation with the audio as support for and motivation of the objectives. In other words, what you see should be the actual content of what you're trying to communicate. The audio should support and motivate what they see. Because what you see is what you're going to remember. What you hear is a motivation and support for what you see. So what you say should not be the answer. It should support and motivate the answer that they see. And what they see should not be just written, not only written words. It should be a graph, a table, something that's very, very informative and very strong in a communication type design. So you'll learn how to communicate in here. At least you'll be exposed to it. Consider the presentation to illustrate and represent objectives contained in the assignment memo rather than explain merely stated objectives. In other words, address the audience. Okay. So finally, I'll get rid of this and then I'll go back to the questions here. I will be grading on memo content that contains technical accuracy, answers the client's requests adequately, responds appropriately within the scenario presented. However, each student's judgment of content and composition should reflect their knowledge, personality, and communication style. That's why I don't want you to copy from anyone. I want your personality coming through. This is what you think is the best way to communicate this to this client. And I'm not going to judge on that. I want everyone to do it their own way. Because if you do it your own way, then you'll get better and you got 4 times. You get better and better and better. Because knowing something in business is useless unless you can communicate it effectively. Then it's useful. Each memo must be original and should exhibit professional quality and value. Okay, collaboration is encouraged to aid in learning, but not required. Most importantly, collaboration should be limited to the calculations, analysis, and understanding of the content of the memo, but not the creation or composition of the response or technical memo or the PowerPoint presentations. All 3 of those, you do those yourself. You can get help, you can get suggestions, guidance, but it has to be yours. You own it. It's yours. Copying and putting someone else is not yours. It's someone else's. Each student is required to do their own writing, composition, production, and submit originally composed work. Essentially, the response memo, technical memo, or PowerPoint submitted by 2 or more students will receive a 0 and will be considered a violation of academic dishonesty standards. Academic dishonesty is cheating. The incident may also be reported to the Internal Affairs Committee of the Business School at UCD for further action. And this further action could be a 0, an F in the course, suspension, or expulsion. I've been here long enough, I've taught decades enough to where all of that has happened. Do not assist another student by allowing them to see a copy of your written work. Don't give it, and don't look at another person's work, and don't let another person see your work. Academic dishonesty includes copy from another student or allowing a student to copy from your work in part or in whole. So what I mean by that is sometimes I have 2 coming in identical. I go, okay, you both get zeros. I want to report you. And so this person says, no, no, no. I didn't copy from him. He copied from me. How did he see what you... I was just showing him how to do it. Well, you're both liable, okay? The purpose of the memo assignments are to test your understanding of the techniques, your ability to correctly apply the methods, and communicate concepts in a business environment. Okay, let's come back to the chat room here. Okay. Craig, are you asking? So, BLUF. I'm not really sure. I'm sure you know what that means, but let's see. Leslie, can you share a sample memo? I get that question almost every semester, almost every time I teach this course, and I'm excited to say the answer is no. Anyway, but it's not because I don't want you to help you. It's because I don't want you to do. I used to do that. And I say, oh, here's an example. And you know what happened? Everybody had the same memo. I go, that's not what I want. I don't want you to copy from an example. I want you to think about what's the best way for me to communicate this, okay? And so that's kind of why I don't do it. And I don't really care. Some people use bullets, some people use graphs, some people use tables, some people use text. I've had people don't do anything. They just write it all out. Everything's there, fine with me. So the way you do that, it doesn't matter as long as you say everything correctly and you answer the questions and you address the questions appropriately. And I'll help you with that too. So that's why I don't do it. I want everyone to do it their way, and you get better. And you'll see what other people have done. And you'll start migrating to something that you're comfortable with. And now, if you're comfortable with it, then the communication is going to be good because it's yours. And you know how to communicate that way. Everyone does not communicate well the same way. Okay. One page is generous. No one in my job reads lengthy emails. You're absolutely right. Are we to submit a memo presentation video every week? No, just the memos. And that's all. And then the projects. There are 4 memo papers due. The due dates are in the very first part of the syllabus. Right. Thank you, Molly. They may... Excellent. This is good. They may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Absolutely. Very good. And Andrea, that is sales negotiation 101. Absolutely. Just trying. See, I learned from you guys. This is awesome. I love this stuff. Greg, just trying to help clarify. Absolutely. Bottom line, up front. Boom. Does the memo... Siva, does the memo assignments and quiz questions will be on the topics related to the lecture from that week? Yes. Well, okay. Yes. Yes and no. Yes, sort of. Notice the topics are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The quizzes here, quizzes are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The numbers on the quiz, homework, and memos correspond to the numbers on the topics. So this memo 1 here is going to be forecasting. But it's not done that week. It's done in the lectures here, the homework is here. It's done in one. You have 4 weeks to do the first memo. So during those 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, I'll give you a lot of help. Well, 3, 6, 9, 12 different Zoom sessions to do it. And I'll help you do it. You shouldn't use all those times. Maybe 1 or 2 is all you need. So you have plenty of time. So the numbers on the quiz, homework, and memos correspond to the numbers on the topics. Okay. So not each week, but each topic. I guess that's the answer. Okay, where are we? Is that making you dizzy? Oh, geez. Where is it? Memo. Composition. Oh, okay. Okay. Exam. Online examinations designed for evaluation. will be given this course. Again, designed for evaluation. I talked about it earlier. I ask you things you know, not you don't know. I'll give you as much help on all the topics that I'll be asking. And you can lay everything out as open notes, open book, open notes. It's timed, but you'll have everything in front of you. And I say, and I even tell you, these questions are on this material. These questions are on this material. These questions are on this material. I even show you what it is. And so that you bring this up and question, and you'll know it, okay? Well, if you're prepared, it should go fairly quickly. The exam may be taken only once. The exam will be open book and timed, open book, open notes. No collaboration is allowed. Do it all yourself. No help there. Collaboration is cheating. No communication devices such as phones or laptops are allowed. Everything you should do it yourself. No sharing equipment is allowed. Okay. In other words, sharing information like over the internet or through a chat room or email. If academic dishonesty occurs on exam, the student receives a 0 for the exam. Any incident, again, I say it again. Answers to the exam will be posted online. Exam grades will be posted on Canvas. Course grades will be reported to the registrar and will not be posted on Canvas. So all the grades are on Canvas except for the course grades, the A, B, C, D, F. But since all the grades are on Canvas, you can do all the arithmetic and find out what your grade is, because it's based solely on those numbers. Okay. Finally, the projects. I'll talk about this a lot more toward the end of the course. Each student is required to conduct independent research on a topic based on material related to the course. The deliverables from each student are an individual report and a video presentation. So you have a video on the 4 memos and the project. So there's 5 videos. 5 videos that I'm requiring. Once you get into this, you might do this more and more and more. Each student must have a different project. That's what I mean by individual. So there's you can work in a team, but each person must do a separate project in that topic. The project grade for each student will be 10% on the video presentation, 90% on the individual report. So most of it is the report describing what you learned in your research. Now the report is, here's the details of my research. But the video is not the details of your research, it's a summary or highlights of what you learned. Okay? And so again, the exercise of here's the details, here's the highlights, here's the takeaways, here's the executive summary of what you did. You don't put all of this in your video. Okay. Now, also, each student may elect to perform the entire project alone or be part of a small project team. I say this. Let's bring back my website here. At the bottom down here, I'll have projects lists down here, like forecasting here. But I'll go, for example, forecasting. This is a book. If you want to, again, the link goes to. This is a good book at a level for research, but you can buy it or not. It's just a suggestion. A lot of people say, can you help us? Yeah, here's a bunch of help. These are topics. Now notice every person has to have their own project, but under this forecasting, here's 4 different types of projects just on forecasting. And you can work in a group. All 4 of you work together and help each other with their individual projects. But then the person writes and produces their own. But you can help each other. But you don't help each other by doing it for them. Help them so that they can do it themselves. And here's a bunch of different topics down here and resources if you want to use it. And here's a B list. If you want to use it, or if you want to use something other than this, that's fine. These are just suggestions. Okay? Okay. And as we get closer to this, you can read this in detail. I'll cover it in detail as well. Okay, finally, the final part of the syllabus. Assignments. I've already said all this. I'm saying it again at the very end. The assignments consist of quizzes, homework assignments, memo assignments. They're all submitted through Canvas. No late assignments are due, are accepted. If you don't submit it, it's a 0, and grades posted on Canvas. Nothing is accepted after the end of the course. Academic dishonesty, I say it again. Now, conduct. Because of what's been happening all over the place on universities and in our country and the world, we've been asked to put these links in our syllabus. First of all, this is the Code of Conduct. And this Code of Conduct for UCD is for everybody on campus. Faculty, staff, students, guests, anybody on campus, Code of Conduct. And so the campus has a code that requires everyone to follow. Okay. And also, even though it's a Code of Conduct on campus, it's also online virtually as well. University policies under HR, Human Resources. Information, procedures, policies, rules, regulations. And this has to do with diversity, inclusion, just respect for each other, respect for everything. And so these right here, we've been asked to put these in here. So this is a lot of different sources for policies. Now, FERPA. We've been asked to put FERPA in here, and here it is. FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So your information, your identity, your grades are under FERPA are protected, and I will hold very strong to that. So when I submit answers and discussions, it'll just be to you through Canvas. Now, through email, your email also is communication directly to you. But I will not put things, I will put answers a little bit. I'll black out the names. If someone did this, and I'll, like memos, I say, this was really good, here. But no one will know who that is because I block out the names. Now, if you don't want your video, if you don't want your memo showcased and highlighted or your video, then let me know and I won't do it. Okay? But no one will know it's you. It's just a video, a memo. But FERPA rights are important, and I will try very hard to honor them and respect them and follow them. And finally, any current or potential indications of violations of verbal, physical disruption, or intimidation can be reported to the CARE team. This is an assessment team to where you assess any current altercation or current issues that are directed towards something that could be violent or questionable. You can report it. And so we have a place to report this. This is the CARE team. And it's just an assessment. They go and evaluate things, or they contact authorities if it is an actual physical disruption in process. Any incidents of violent or disruptive behavior can be reported to the Internal Affairs Committee of the Business School of UCD. Conduct also includes etiquette that is respectful to all people, facilities, and institutions. And this etiquette not only is in physically in person, but it's also virtually online. And everyone needs to police everyone. And so the etiquette of just respect for each other, for education, facilities, the institution, just respect. And the respect doesn't mean you agree with everything. It means you respect the intent of trying to do good in the world. And I know I respect students. That's why I keep doing this. I don't do this for me. I do it for you because I want you to learn as much as you can. And the way to learn is have an environment conducive for learning, and that requires etiquette that's respectful. Okay, commitment expectation. Taking this course represents you're committed to perform work. And there's a lot of work to be done for this course, anywhere from 2 to 5 hours on the average. Some people might spend 1 hour a week. Some people might spend 6 or 7 hours a week, but it varies. Every person is different, okay? No incomplete grades are given. Now, this last statement here, policies in this syllabus apply to each student equally. That's important. In other words, every student I will treat the same as far as the rules, policies, standards. And the reason I say that is for two reasons. One, sometimes students will come up and say, well, you know, I have a special circumstance. I will consider special circumstances. That should be a comma. I will consider special circumstances. But I will help you as much as I can within the structure of the problem, within the rules of the course, within the standards. The standards will never be compromised, and I say that here. The rules will not be violated. So the students who want me to violate those, I won't. And those who don't can be assured that I won't do it for other people who want it. Okay? And that's kind of what I mean by the policies in this syllabus apply to each student equally. And that's for those two groups of people. However, if there's a special case, special circumstance, let me know. And if I can, within the standards, within the standards, I will certainly help you as much as I can. And the rules and policies, and I'll help you as much as I can. And things come up all the time, and they go, yeah, I can do that. Here, let me do this, and I'll help you when I can. Okay? So that's the syllabus part of this lecture today. And what I want to do before we leave tonight, it's 8 o'clock, and before we leave, I want to go into the introduction of definitions of terms and problem-solving approach, qualitative and quantitative, to set up, to get ready for the course. So I have another about 20, 30 minutes, okay? And actually 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9, it's usually 2.5 hours with a 15-minute break. But what I will do is take a short break here, a short break because people can break anytime they want. You know, I had this conversation this last couple of weeks. I said, you know, back in March when people started doing things online more, and I said, oh, well, we're going to get back to normal. People said, we're going to get back to normal. I said, no, we're not. We'll never go back to the way it was before because doing everything online, we're going to learn the good and the bad parts, and we're going to retain the good parts. We're going to solve the bad parts. We're going to retain the good parts. We're going to learn. And I think it's going to be better, much better. So you're at home listening to this. You can take a break, come back. You know, I missed that. Fine. You can look at the video, and it's going to be timed. You can say, oh, no, 1 hour into it, 30 minutes into it, this kind of thing. And I think that's good because you'll have all this information right there at through the whole course. These lectures here, this lecture. But what I will do, I will keep this active. Everything will be active. But let's take about a 5-minute break, a 4 or 5 minute break. It's 8 o'clock. Let's say 8:04, 8:05. I want to turn off my webcam, my microphone. Let's take a 2 or 3 minute break. Everyone takes a break, and I'll come back, and then I'll open up the lecture. Okay. So this is our virtual break. And before we take a break, when I'm done with the course, if anyone wants to ask me a conversation over Zoom, when we're done, I'll close out of the live stream. I'll open Zoom. I might do that anyway. Just people can ask me questions, kind of like after class. So let's take about a 2 or 3. Let's see. I keep saying 10-minute break, 15-minute break, 10-minute break, 5-minute break, 2 or 3 minute break. Let's say 2 or 3 minutes. In about 2 or 3, 4 minutes, I'll come back. Okay. Hello, everyone. Oh, I just had a scone. I got to drink this. Okay. For the rest of the evening here, this should take maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. I'll do the first lecture. This lecture is an introduction to two things: terminology that we'll be using in this course, and then the problem-solving approach, how to approach solving a problem. Okay? And again, this lecture, it's a Word file. Click this, and this opens it up here. And it's only 2 pages here. But you can download it here. Click this, download it, and then you can open it up. I'm not going to open it up. I've already opened it. So let me come back here and open it up. And there it is. Okay, here we go. So, definitions, operations management. First of all, this is an introduction to the subject of operations management. Operations management can be described as transformation of inputs to outputs. You have your inputs over here, your resources, facilities, material, your inventory, equipment, labor, your people, and the output is products and or services. Okay, there's the input-output process, and we'll see this I/O, or input-output process, over and over and over again as we go through the course. It's very common. I will use it as well, and I'll just take different things out and put different things in as we go through the course. Now, the process here under operations, I have 3: design processes, manage processes, and control processes. The idea of designing a process is understanding how to design a process to do a particular operation. But more importantly, if you understand the design of a process, you'll understand that this design is not the right design to produce that output. And so you can actually say, okay, there's a mismatch here. There's a disjoint of the design and the desired outcome. We have to go in and redesign things, and there's where control comes in. Managing is once you have that in place, understanding operations enough to where you can make it operate as designed. And sometimes people undermine the design because they don't manage it correctly. Mismanagement. Okay. And then finally, control. When you control it, you can change it, you can improve it, you can re-engineer things, and controlling it is being able to introduce quality control measures, expand with technology, and actually go to, let's say, supply chains, or go broader. Okay. Someone mentioned supply chain management. I teach supply chain management. However, operations is making a business unit efficient. Supply chain is looking at connecting different efficient business units together. And so it's that link up and down. So we'll be focusing on just a business unit. Okay, now in order to make this work effectively, we can have different modifications. First of all, different functions, different approaches. Strategic, tactical, and detailed. Well, a strategic function means long-term analysis, long-term decisions, a very strategic approach to operations. Strategic decisions are such that maybe open up new international business, or close down the western part, all the stores in the western part of the United States. Tactical is planning. That's medium term, and there's where you plan. How much inventory do we make? How many people do we hire this year? What's our production this quarter? Detailed is day-to-day operations, and we'll do that in scheduling, how to make your day-to-day operations efficient. And in the detailed, there's a lot of things we can do, but what I've done in this course, I say, if you're going to leave here and you're going to do operations, in the detail part, I want to make sure that we'll talk about things that are very, very simple, but not obvious. And so they're easy to do once you see them, and they're very, very good. They help make day-to-day operations efficient. Next is industries. And so we have three different types of industries. There's a lot of different types of industries. And I just have three basic categories: a continuous industry, intermittent, and service. A continuous industry, an example would be an assembly line. Okay? And so like repetitive operations, assembly line. But that's discrete work centers. You can have a flow process like oil recovery or steel manufacturing. Those are continuous operations. Now, intermittent operations, on the other hand, is that you can have continuous, but it's intermittent. A good example of an intermittent industry would be the textile industry. Well, you're making jeans, then you stop and then you make shirts, then you stop and you make socks. Okay? And so every time you make a batch run, that's referred to as a batch industry. But when those batch industries gets really small, the number in that batch gets small, it's referred to as a job shop. So intermittent can be a job shop on small runs to a very batch industry for very large runs. And continuous is just a continuous operation. And there's two types: repetitive of discrete work units, and then a process industry of continuous. And then service industry. The service industry is defined when the customer is part of the operations, then that technically defines a service operation. Okay, the classic example of a service operation is a fast food restaurant, like Wendy's or McDonald's or Burger King. So when you go in, you give your orders. Your order for, I want a hamburger and fries and a shake. And then they take that order, they go in the back, and then they will put your order together, and then they'll come back and give it to you. Well, when you give your order, you're part of the service. They can't give you what you want until you order it. So the ordering then is part of the customer being part of the operations, and that's defined as a service industry. Okay, next we have objectives. Well, there's a lot of objectives. The three primary objectives we'll look at are monetary objectives. That's pretty self-explanatory: maximize profit, minimize cost. Time, if you can do it, but you can do it faster, it's a competitive advantage. And finally, quality. Define what quality means to you and your company and your product or service, and then optimize it. Okay, so these are the three objectives we'll be looking at in this course. Now, naturally, there's a lot more than this, but this is a good introduction. Let's take these and expand a little bit more. Before I go on, though, let's go to the website. Okay, come down here to the website, mdharper.com. Hello, here it is, Operations Management. Come down here and notice this right here, Introduction to Operations video. This video, let me go ahead and open it up. I've already talked about this, and notice what I'm doing here. I'm talking about this within a video. I'm giving examples. And so this is what I mean by the lecturer will talk about it, but the videos will present it. Okay? The lecturers will explain it. These videos will present it. And so here's a presentation of, here's the, what is this? A batch industry, batch product. And then a little bit later, here's a job shop. And this is machine shop or the research group, positron emitted tomography, brain imaging. This is a Wisconsin School of Medicine, Public Health. It's a job shop, so they can build things here, they can repair things. And then you go on. You have the back up. You have the service industry here. They give examples of different things, and then I go into different operation strategy here. So I talk about. Then I go further. Okay. In other words, what I'm doing here is just explaining it. The videos present it, and so you go back and forth, and then the Zoom is conversation. The homework is applying it. So there's a lot of different sources of learning. Use all of them, and use some more than others depending on what works for you. Okay, well, let's go a little bit further here and talk about operation strategy. Now, I define strategy as a sequence of decisions that leads to achieving an objective or a goal. A sequence of decisions that achieves some goal or objective. Well, the decisions are going to be in these three areas: a product design, process design, and inventory design. Those are the three decisions. Those three together will create your operation strategy, because those three decisions are part of operations decisions. Well, let's look at them. First of all, product design. How do you design your product? Well, I can customize the product or standardize the product. Well, a customized product, such as a custom homes, custom automobiles. I think the example I give in the video is a customized computer lab. You're going to come and says, we need a computer lab. Okay, tell me what you need. We need to do this, 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 and this. Let's put this computer lab together specifically for you. Dell, call them up or email them, whatever, and say, I need a system. What do you need? I need this, 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 and this. They assemble it and give it right to you. That's a customized product. As a matter of fact, my system here, I built this, or my son and I built this specifically for what I'm doing right now, and that's why it works so well, because I've designed it for this. So that's customized. Now, standardized on the other hand, standardized is customized is you design it for a particular customer. Standardized is one design for everyone. Well, as I say in the video, some standardization is required. For example, the Food and Drug Administration has standards that have to be met for food and medications. Well, you want that because you want all that food to maintain certain standards. Well, sometimes a customization is a product design that's preferable. Sometimes standardization is a product design that's preferable and required. But also sometimes they are together. They're mixed. A good example of that is go back to Dell computers or a computer lab. You call up Dell and say, I want this, this, this in my system. Well, they're going to take these components and put those components together to make the system, either the system or the computer exactly what you want. That's customized. But every component is standardized. You want these monitors to be standardized. You want the CPU and the interfaces to be standardized, or even the mics, my blue mic and the Logitech camera. You want them to be standardized, because once you plug that in, you want it to work according to standards. Okay, so quite often a product is a combination of these, and the way you've combined those in your product is your strategy. Next is process design. It's broken up into two different decisions: manufacturing process design and service process design. Manufacturing process design is broken up into two basic types: a product-focused manufacturing process design and a process focus. Well, the idea of product focus is you're focusing your process design, you're focusing on the needs of the product. An example of a process focusing on the needs of the product is an assembly line. You can, and I show that in the videos. As the automobile goes down the assembly line, the process is focusing on the need of that product when it needs it. Here we put the windshield on. Here we put the door on. Here we put the tires on. And it's done the same time every time. And so Henry Ford, over 100 years ago, created the assembly line. Why? Because when you produce with a product-focused manufacturing process design, you have high volume and low cost, but you have the same product. So you don't have product variety, the same product, but high volume, low cost. And so therefore, money and availability is going to be your strategic advantage. The other type of design is a process-focused manufacturing process design. Well, you're not focusing on the needs of the product, you're focusing on the needs of the process itself. An example of a process-focused design is a job shop. We saw that pet imaging. or some type of a job shop like a motor pool or a mechanic. Well, you pull the car into the bay, and in that bay we have everything there that's needed, and that's going to be the job shop. Okay, and so if a car needs something, well then you go to where it's needed. Another good example of this, though, that's right, Craig. You can have any car you want as long as it's a Model T. The idea, another example of a process focused is a university. If you want to learn about Canvas, you go to the OIT people. If you want to learn about your bill, you go to Bursars. If you want to learn about your schedule, you go to the registrar. That's a job shop. Okay, it's process focused because you go to the Bursar, they have everything they need for that process right there, so they can answer all your questions. Okay, next is the service industry, when the customer is part of the operations. Well, there's three different versions, three different levels of this: quasi-manufacturing, customer's participant, customer's product. Quasi-manufacturing is when the customer has very little to no influence or involvement in the actual operations. And customer's participant is when they do have involvement. Okay, let's look at these two for a second. Let's go back to McDonald's. You go in, you give your order. When you give your order, you're a customer as participant, part of that service. But once they take your order, then they go to the back and they put your order together. That's a quasi-manufacturing service. Because, well, you're part of the service because you did give the order, and they're putting this order together according to your order, so you're part of it, but you're not there, so it's quasi-manufacturing. The manufacturing is relative to your order, but your order's already been done with customer as participant up front. So the reason they separate this out, well, one reason, there's many reasons, but one reason is that customer as participant, you're going to need someone who's very good at understanding customers. You're dealing with customers. If you've ever worked in retail, when I have a class, I say, how many people have worked in retail? And a few people raise their hand. And I said, sometimes it's extremely difficult understanding what people are talking about. They go, absolutely, because people have all different ways of looking at things. Well, some people are very good at communicating and listening and understanding what people are saying and what they want. Sometimes people say things, and that's not what they mean. They ask for things, but that's not what they want. And you have to hear what they mean, not what they say. You have to hear what they want, not what they ask for. And so that's a skill. That's a gift to some people. They're very good at that. And if they're uncertain, they can get to it. Well, those kind of people should be part of the customer as participant service. But then quasi-manufacturing, you're not dealing with a customer anymore. These people are very good at giving them a task, and they can do it over and over and over and over again, faster and faster and faster, and never make a mistake. They should be quasi-manufacturing. But if those people are very good at repetitive operations, at repetitive quasi-manufacturing, but they're not very good with people, don't put them in the front. Keep them in the back. People are very good with people, but they'll get messed up. Don't put them in the back, keep them in the front. So the idea is that the capability of your human resources need to be matched with the requirements of the job, especially in a service process design. Finally, customer as product. The example I give, so this is very different than the other two. Customer as product, the customer is the product. Well, in the fast food industry, the product is the food, okay? But customer as product, the customer is the product. An example of that is like a salon, barber shop, or a medical. The example I give in the video is the medical field, is a medical assistant or a hospital. You are the product. If you have a dermatology or you have surgery, you are the product. So since you are the product, that's very different. An example I give in class, well, I'm in class, virtual class, An example I give is that someone goes in for an operation and full anesthesia. And so they go out, they come up in the recovery room. And so you say, oh, hi. He says, how you doing? I feel fine. I feel good. He said, was your surgeon, did they do a good job? And the customer and the patient would go, yes, the surgeon was great. They were great. And you say, why? Well, they were under they were out, okay? The anesthesia was total, they were out. So they didn't see what he was doing. And even if they did, would they know whether it was good or not? No. But they said yes. Why? Because they'll say, because they were so nice. They were so nice. Well, is being nice means that the surgery was done correct? No, not at all. But notice, quality of a customer's product is not so much the actual service as it is the perception of the customer after the service. And so here you can focus on the quality aspect of customer's product is focusing on the customer being satisfied with the service, not necessarily the service being done correctly, but you would want to do the service correctly. But quality is not the service being done correctly. The quality also has the customer being satisfied with the service. Okay, so again, understanding the elements of the process design is important in your operation strategy. The final is inventory design. Oh, there again, these are combined, but also product focus and process focus is also combined. Where you combine them is something called cellular manufacturing. And cellular manufacturing, in the video, I explain it. Make sure you watch the video because product focus is saying, okay, cellular, you have cells. Within each cell, you have a product focus assembly line, high volume, low cost. But the different cells, you don't produce the entire product, you only produce part of it. But the way you put the cells together, you create a finished product, but the different cells that are put together, you have the product variety of the process focused. So you have a product focused characteristics within a cell. Between the cells, you have a process focused characteristic of product variety and quality. Okay? And so that's called cellular manufacturing. And I will mention that in the exam, I'll mention that in the homework. And so that's important to know what cellular manufacturing is conceptually. But that's a whole area unto itself, and that could be a whole research for project at the end of the course. Okay, the last one, the last process here is going to be inventory design. Now this inventory design is make to stock versus make to order. Now, make to stock is you're creating inventory, you're creating your products is being produced to go into inventory, and demand is met out of inventory. So you're making to stock, you're making to create inventory. Demand is met out of inventory. Make to order is you wait for an order, and then the production is to satisfy an order. You don't really make inventory. So make to order, technically, there is no inventory for that product. Make to stock, you produce the product to make inventory, and then your demand is met out of inventory. Okay. So where you have make to order and make to stock coming together, that's called, first of all, make to stock is called a push system. Actually, let me just say push. It's called a push system. And a push system means you're creating inventory and pushing inventory toward the customer. You create your inventory and the demand's made out of inventory. So the more inventory, you're pushing it toward the customer. A make to order is called a pull system, P-U-L-L. Notice that order is pulling the product or the service out of operations. You're pulling it out of operations. So you have a push system of your inventory, you have a pull system of your orders. And where the push system meets the pull system, that's called the push-pull boundary. Well, the retail store, like say the bread aisle, and I give examples in the video. So the bread aisle, that's the push-pull boundary of, let's say, bread in the supermarket. So they make bread, and they put in inventory, they drive it to the store, and they put it on the shelf. There's where the inventory, but then the demand is pulled out of inventory. So the pull system is in the retail store. So the push-pull boundary is retail store for bread. But when you go to Dell Computers, you call up Dell and says, I want to order my computer. It says, oh, well, what type of CPU? What's the monitor? What keyboard do you want? This kind of thing. And so how much memory? What's the storage? So you give them everything you want. They'll assemble it, and then they'll deliver it to you. So where's the push-pull boundary? Well, if you go to Best Buy, they'll sell you a computer, laptop, or you can have it constructed or put together, assembled with Dell. But the push-pull boundary for different, like Lenovo or Compaq or Hewlett-Packard, is in the retail store. But Dell, the push-pull boundary is deeper into the supply chain. But does that mean that there's no inventory? No. But the inventory, the push part, is going to be the components. The pull part is the actual system that you put together, or the final product. And so the push-pull boundary can be anywhere in the supply chain. Well, again, someone mentioned supply chain management. Supply chain management, you'll have multiple push-pull boundaries within the supply chain strategically applied to create either efficiency, service levels, or low cost. Okay, but within an organization, usually you have one push-pull boundary. A larger organization, you might have 2 or 3. Okay, but the characteristic of a push system is you create inventory. And with inventory, part of this course, we'll look at inventory, and there's where you have, you can lower your cost. Okay, and the pull system, there's where you have higher cost, but you have better service because you're satisfying, you have product variety because you're satisfying the customer based on the order. And so customization could be matched with process focus, could be matched with a pull system. Standardization could be matched with a product-focused assembly line with a push system because we have a make-to-stock. Okay, so the way the product design, process design, and inventory design are put together is your operation strategy. Now, historically, 100 years ago, after the Industrial Revolution, operation strategy was fairly straightforward. High volume, low cost, capture markets, economies of scale, and therefore you can offer something in a lower cost. Today, that's not true. You can have mass customization, mass production, mass customization. You can start mixing these things together because of technology, because of globalization, and because of supply chain management. So these things can be mixed. So that's why understanding how they are mixed becomes important within operation strategy. Okay. Now the last thing I want to do tonight, let's come to the questions here. Is it product focused, customized product, quasi-manufactured, make it by? Andrea, an architecture firm. Well, it depends on what that architecture firm depends on what they're doing. If an architecture firm is design build, well then that's probably going to be more customized. In project management, this isn't a project management course, but in project management, a lot of times, like design build, part of this is going to be more of a customer's participant to make sure you get the design the way the customer wants it. But then the building part is going to be much more of a, let's say, a process focus or product focus. Process focused, but parts will be product focused, and that's more of a waterfall project management approach. So you'd have a combination within a project of manufacturing service type process designs. Okay, so there again is a great example, Andrea, a great example of understanding how these are put together and the characteristics and the value and what you gain from the different designs is important on how to put them together to optimize and maximize your quality within your business. Okay, and going back and forth and shifting. And that's why another saying I love in this course, that's why you need business people doing business. You don't want engineers, you don't want mathematicians, unless they learn business, unless they learn operations. You want operations people doing operations because they know how to do it then, or they should know how to do it. People from different disciplines, even finance or accounting or marketing, if they don't know operations, they'll say, we'll do it one way. Well, that one way may or may not be right. You have to know how to shift and change. You have to be agile. Okay. Let's see here. Craig, buy to stock, buy to order, same idea. Same idea. And there's a whole different spectrum. You can make to stock, make to assemble, make to fabricate, make to buy, or buy to stock. So you can do all kinds of stuff. That's the idea. Very, very similar. Very similar. So a push-pull boundary would be the supply available for raw material, for instance. Yes, a push-pull boundary, the push part would be like the raw material. The pull part is downstream, is saying, this is what I need from my raw material. And the raw material will go different places for different final products or components. Yep. Great. Excellent. Okay. Keep them coming. I love these questions. I love the questions. Okay. The last thing we'll do tonight, okay, this is the qualitative definitions. The last thing we'll do tonight is break-even analysis, quantitative. Now, the reason I'm talking about this here for 10, 15 minutes is that having taught this many decades, and then there was in industry, there was in government research, my background's engineering, don't hold that against me. I moved away from that a long time ago, and I did all different things. But I... Molly, how does demand play into this, if at all? Demand is important. Yeah, demand's important. When demand decreases, and you'll see in supply chain analysis, when demand increases and it's sporadic, it's a very low demand and high variability, people will move to a pull system. When you have very consistent demand, it's high demand, they'll move to a push system because they know exactly what they need to produce to satisfy that demand. When the demand is low but sporadic, a lot of variability, they'll go to a pull system because they don't know how much to make until they have the order. So you're absolutely right, Molly. The demand, where you have a high demand, low demand, high variability, low variability, the mean and variances will depend on whether you do a push-pull system. It goes beyond this course a little bit, but it applies. It's important. Actually, that's part of supply chain management because then you're looking upstream and downstream. Okay, in break-even analysis, by the way, keep those questions coming. I like them. On break-even analysis, I'm focusing on the quantitative side. And having worked many decades, I began, and teaching for a long time, I began to realize a lot of times people will approach quantitative problems and solving problems in school, which is not the same as industry. It is not the same at all. And there's a disjoint, okay? And unfortunately in school, university, this course, you're given a problem, you work in, so I know how to work the problem. Yeah, you do, but that's not what happens in business. In business, you have to do a number of things. First, you have to define the problem. What is the problem? Recognition of the problem. Next is solve it correctly, and that's usually where the solution part is that they'll give you a problem and then you solve it, but it's not that easy. Which technique do you use? And then the presentation, how do you represent that or present that or interpret it in such a way that it's useful? That's not that easy either. Okay, let's back up. One example, since we're here tonight, let me give another example. Years ago, I taught a course at another university, and these are majors, operations majors, and later we'll talk about MRP, and it's a production type system. Anyway, I said, okay, at the beginning of the class, it's a 2.5-hour class, we're going to do a simulation. So I handed out all these different piece of paper, and you're the supplier, and you're this and different productions, and you go. And then I put a problem on the board, and I said, let's work it. You're the master planner. They go, oh, I don't know how to do this. Well, try it. And so they tried it, and they failed. It didn't work. They didn't do it right, and it was obvious that it failed. And then they go, ha ha, they were majors, so they knew each other, ha ha. Says, no, you're next. Now you try it. So they learned from each other, and they kept getting better and better, but no one put together a production plan that worked for that problem. Interesting. Well, it was kind of interesting because I kind of watched all of them get sadder, like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't be part of this major. Oh no, maybe I need to go someplace else and do something easier, I go, no, wait a minute. I says, before we leave tonight, next week we're going to do this again, but I'm going to take this problem and rewrite it, not physically, but on the board. And I wrote it, I didn't say a word. I wrote it in the board in a format, and that format was according to an MRP technique. Well, they knew that inside and out. They go, oh, this is an MRP problem. I go, yes, it is. You didn't tell us that. Problems don't come with labels. You have to recognize it. Oh, well, let's do it again. No, we're not doing it tonight. We're doing it next week. I'll bring some more problems. I brought more problems. I put a little bit more requirements onto it. They knew what kind of a problem it was. We run around the table and everyone solved that thing perfectly. Now, what's the difference between success and failure? Knowledge? No. Skill? No. Recognizing what kind of problem it is, it was all that. So recognizing what you're facing is extremely important to know how to address it. Know what the problem is. And I know when I was in business, we would say put out fires. Have you ever heard of that, putting out fires? Why? Oh, let's solve that. Let's solve that. Well, you're solving the symptom. You're not solving the problem. And we'll talk about that later in aggregate planning. That's a place where you always, not always, it's popular or infamous in solving the symptoms of a problem and not solving the problem itself. Okay, so first of all, defining the problem is important. Okay, here we go. Here's the problem. 3 production processes, automated, cellular, and job shop, have the following cost structure. Which process is preferred? Okay, now we're looking at cost, and preferred meaning the cheapest, the lowest cost, the cheapest cost. Okay, here's the 3 processes, automated, cellular, and job shop. And we have a fixed cost per year. And even though these costs are not probably accurate in magnitude, they're relatively accurate ordinally. In other words, automated usually is more expensive to maintain. Job shop is cheaper to maintain. Cellular is in the middle. Okay, but the variable cost per unit, automated is a high volume, low cost, so you can make them much cheaper on a piecewise type production. Job shop is more expensive because you're moving things around, and then finally cellular is pretty much in the middle. So even though these numbers are not exactly right in magnitude, they're pretty close relative in ordinal. Now, the question is, which one is going to be the cheapest? Well, it depends on what your production's going to be. Yeah. Well, let's look at it's called a break-even analysis. And so this is a break-even analysis. How do we know? Well, how do we know that this is that kind of problem? Years ago, when I was teaching this, it was a rhetorical question. It was rhetorical. How do we know this is a break-even analysis? Well, I said that. Before I went on, a hand shot up. And I go, oh, yeah, what? And he goes, I know. What? It's simple. It's easy. I know. I says, how? You look up here at the top, and it says break-even analysis. Ha, ha, ha. That's about how much everyone laughed. Ha, ha. And I go, okay, fine. Ha, 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 was I funny? Well, yeah, at least you tried. But the point is, I went home that night and started thinking, that guy was probably more profound than he thought. Because that's exactly how it's taught in school. That how do you know to work that? Oh, it's a break-even analysis. Go to break-even. Here's the example. Boom. That's how you solve it. That's how it's taught. And so he was being funny, but he was being realistic as well. But if you don't know that, how can you tell this is a break-even problem? The idea here then is going to be, well, I'll look at two different ways. The first way is called the boundary value problem. Okay? Boundary value, production. It depends on what your production is going to be. What if your production is really, really small? Let's say 0. If the production is 0, then the variable cost really goes away. So which one of these is the lowest? Well, it's going to be the job shop. So the job shop is going to be the cheapest process if our production is really low. Okay, let's bring that back. What if our production is super, super high, like 1 million units? Okay, well, I can put 1 million units on each one of these. 1 million, million, million. Okay, well, if I make 1 million here, then 2,110,000, this is going to be the cheapest. This is 4 million and 5 million. Okay, so let's take those off. So very high production then, I'm sorry, I should have done this. I'm going too fast here. What about our production? I can do 1 million. That's what I meant to do, sorry. Okay, 1 million. Well, this would be 2,110,000, 4 million, 5 million. So this would be the cheapest if very high production. Very low production, the job shop is the cheapest. Very high production, automated is the cheapest. Well, since those are two different things, somewhere between 0 and 1 million, these are going to start coming together and they're going to be the same cost. And that's the definition of break even. They're going to be the same. Okay? Okay. That's the first way. We've identified that it is a break-even problem. A break-even exists. The second is the structure of the problem. The structure. We'll see this later in some of the other topics. When you have a fixed cost that decreases, 110, 80, 75. At the same time, the variable cost increases 2, 4, and 5. When one goes down, when the other goes up, when that inverse relationship, that structure of the problem identifies a break-even in there somewhere. So the break-even exists. It's there. So let's go find it. Well, wait a minute. For example, what if I take this 2 and move it down here? Take this 5 and move it up here. Is that a break-even problem? It looks like a break-even problem, but then look at the structure of the problem. The fixed cost decreases while the variable cost decreases. So that's not the structure of the problem. In other words, this is most expensive, this is more expensive, and this is the least expensive. So is there a break-even? Is there a production that'll make cellular and automated cheaper than job shop? No. So the break-even doesn't exist. Okay, so looking at the problem, you could say, the structure, yeah, there's a break-even. Let's get the break-even. The structure, that's not a break-even. No, job shop's the answer. There really is no computation if you can recognize the problem up front. Okay, let's take this back. Now, at this point, well, let's do this the other way. Let's go put it back. Bink, bink. At this point, suppose we have this non-break-even analysis. At this point, I think through the course, you'll see me talk about Roger. Some of you may know Roger. Have heard. This is a device I have. In other words, a Roger is the person in your organization that always knows everything and is wrong about 90% of what they say. Does that sound familiar? So at this point, Roger says, oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. No, you can't. It doesn't exist. Yeah, I can. Our company will do that for you. No, don't say that because we can't. And so Roger will get you in trouble, okay? And I'll be talking about this quite a bit in this course. When Roger says this and this and this, well, some of it may be right. A lot of it's going to be wrong. And there's where you have to understand what you're listening to and understand what you're seeing enough to say, hey, that's not right. You don't just take everything that everyone said. Even if it sounds good, then test it to see if it's right or not. Because Roger not always is right, but every once in a while he's right, but mostly not. I'd say 90%. Okay, so let's take this back. Bing, bing. There we go. So now we know it's break. Now we know it's a break even. The structure is there, etc. Now the next step is the solution. Okay, now the solution. Again, there's two steps here too. The first is saying, okay, before I get to the arithmetic, the first, this is an order. The first one is saying, let's get a feel for what the problem, for what the answer is. Let's look at cellular and job shop together. Okay. Now, if our production is 0, then job shop is $5,000 cheaper than cellular. The difference is $5,000. But when I start producing, then I can save $1 for every unit produced. So how much do I produce to save up $5,000? 5,000. So 5,000 should be the break even, somewhere around 5,000. Because 4 times 5 is 20 plus 80 is 100,000. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 75 is 100,000. The cost is the same. Whoops. The cost is the same. So 5,000 is about the break even between cellular and job shop. So that's basically somewhere around 5,000. So when I say small production, job shop is the cheapest, how small is small? Everything below 5,000, job shop would be the preferred process. Everything above 5,000, cellular, or maybe automated. Then how much would the production be for automated? Well, you do the same thing between automated and cellular, and you have another value. Well, this is 30, this is 2. Well, 30 and 2 would be 15,000. So you get a feel for what the answers are. Now, you might think that doesn't sound, that sounds, for lack of a better word, silly. Like, that's good. I'm not doing that. I guarantee you, when you start doing these problems over and over and over again, you get a feel for what the right answer is. Get that feeling first. Then go to the arithmetic, not to get the answer, but to validate your feeling. Validate your feeling with the numbers, with a numerical answer. Well, here I've done it here. For the break-even between A and C, I take the fixed cost and variable cost, 110 and 2. See, 110 and 2. For the cellular, 80 and 4. And there's 80 and 4. Oops, X should be there. And then I solve for X. And then X becomes 15,000. I do the same thing down here for C and J, and I get 5,000. So is 5,000 and 15,000, does that feel right? Yeah, that's basically what we came up with. So what I'm saying here then is that get a feel for what the answer is, and then make sure the quantitative part matches with your feeling. Now, if it doesn't, something's wrong. Either your perception of the problem was wrong or the mathematics was wrong. But something is wrong somewhere. And let the mathematics teach you this is the right perception. Let the perception teach you this is the right mathematics. Make sure they coordinate. And there's where humans work problems in business and in industry. Okay? Correct, Craig. A and C then, between A and J, it's going to be above the other two, right? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, okay? And there's where you get to the graphics. See, there's the break even between A and C. It's above this one, so this will always be greater. So here is the break even analysis presentation is graphing it. Okay, so here's the production down here. Here's the cost over here. If our production up here is 0, then this becomes our y-intercept, 75, 80, 110. There's 75, there's 80, and there's 110. When I start producing here, then I'm going to add 2, 4, and 5 per unit. So here's my 2 slope. Here's my 2 slope. here's my 4 slope, here's my 5 slope. You can see where they cross. Okay, so here's a break even of 5,000. Here's a break even here of 15,000. Well, this illustrates the answers. Now remember I said in the memos, I say, you really don't want to, there's no need to say how you solved it. If you say, I've solved it and here's the answer, and you say, here's the break even. If you show it this way, well, from the graph here, you can say, oh, yeah, I see. Here's cellular in the middle here. Oh, whoa. We never get up here, so we'll never be using automated. So we should be either job shop or cellular. Mostly between 5 and 15. Well, we probably should do more cellular, but we can be prepared to do job shop. And so you can start. And also the differences in the cost in this area here is very small. The differences up here is much greater, but we'll never be up here. Or we'll always be up here. So don't even consider the job shop, only consider cellular. Not. So you can see how much you can visualize where you're going to be on the production spectrum. Okay, so there's a lot you can present the material. Here's the presentation, communication in the memo, in the video. Okay, these kinds of things, this is the kind of thing you would do. Okay, let's go back to the original question. Which process is preferred? It depends on your production, okay, but where's the production? Is it low, medium, high? Is it somewhere around 5, somewhere around 15K? Where? Well, this break-even analysis, once we have come to this point, it would lead us to another analysis. In other words, a forecasting analysis of how much production we're going to have to do to satisfy our demand. Maybe we're going to have a forecasting analysis after this, and the forecast analysis will go with the production analysis. We'll go with the break-even analysis. So in operations, it's not one thing. It's a combination of analyses that are put together to create your tactics. And this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. And forecasting is where we're going to start next week. Okay. Well, that's all I have for the lecture tonight. Now, having said that tonight, having done that, I mentioned if you want, I can open up Zoom and we can have a discussion here, kind of like after class, talking after class. If you have any questions about this, I hope I've covered everything in detail, not only in the syllabus, but also the introduction of the material. But I have the chat room here. If anyone, no one's really mentioned a Zoom, but I think I'll do it anyway. And if anyone has any questions, we can come and ask questions here after the lecture. And so what I'll do, this is being recorded, and this will be posted as a video probably tomorrow. And what I will do is close out of this, open Zoom, and I'll wait 2 or 3, 5 minutes or so. If no one shows up, I'll close it. If someone shows up, then we'll have a conversation. You can ask your question. Okay? And that's all I have for tonight. I really appreciate the questions. The questions are great. Keep them coming. That's how we learn. And the Zoom session we'll learn too. But this is an introduction. Next week, we'll have 2 of these live streams on Tuesday night for that one topic of forecasting. And we'll go deeper into forecasting. That's all I have for tonight. So I'm closing off and opening a Zoom session for anyone who has any questions. So this ends the class.